Sorry about that. Just adjusting the camera. But yeah, guys, I'm back. Sorry, I normally don't do videos this late, but I was doing a bunch of shit today. So, I have done like a million retakes on this. Hopefully this one works. But I am reviewing American History X. My god, this is like I don't know, the fourth or something like that retry. But we'll see. Um, the plan is this video is going to be a two-parter because, my god, everything I want to say about this film, or at least a lot of what I want to say, it cannot be done in one part. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop the video at a certain point, and that certain point will be, after the curb stomp. Because I think then mostly the end kind of happens after that, really. So either that or when he's about to, yeah, I'll end it when, so you're going to notice in this review, I might check I might get up and check where I'm at because my stupid ass phone cannot record past 30 minutes. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. So, I'm gonna stop at the point where, I think I'm gonna stop when, after the curb stop. I just think that's a good point, and then I'll do a part two, like immediately after. So I might upload both parts. I might upload one or two. Like, I'll figure something out. But yeah, it's gonna be two videos. So today I am gonna be reviewing. This is a controversial film in some weirdos' opinion. I don't know why this is a movie that's because I've gotten arguments with people about this movie because they think it's just about the skinhead stuff when it really isn't. Like, this film is one of those movies that it's about redemption. And that was my main point in a lot of the video. This is going to be the main point. It's about redemption. It's about Derek trying to save his brother from the brink of that ideology. And the other thing is, I think this film in general is the most anti-racist film ever made. And I think anti-racist has been destroyed because now it just means you can't just not be racist. You have to be anti-racist. So that word's kind of been destroyed to me. But in its original context, I will use it here. I think this is that. Like, it talks about all forms. I mean, there's some points in this film they talk shit about white people, and I don't like it. I'm not one of these weirdos who say like, oh, only black white people can be racist. That's fucking stupid. So, this film is just a great film all around. Just after rewatching this with my friend, sorry you're hearing a helicopter. But Ed Norton's performance in this is like, I get everyone loves Fight Club, and I think that's his second best, but his performance in this, it's like a roller coaster, because like I said, he says some things that slightly I agree with, but then he goes too far and he makes you angry, but then you love his redemption story in the end. So, I guess I gotta get going, because I don't want my video to fuck up, so we're gonna get started as usual. I'm gonna cheers, and we're gonna get started. But and the movie starts with, we kind of get that initial beginning with these black dudes who like pull up to Derek's house, and they try to steal his car, and or truck. Sorry, you're hearing a fucking plane. Sorry about that. But the Danny, who's played by Edward Furlong, who I think did a phenomenal job in this movie. I think he really killed. As much as I love him in T2, subjectively, that's still my favorite role. Just, I love John. I love that movie. But objectively, this is his best performance. And unfortunately, because of the drugs, I think this movie should have been his real push. Because, my God, I thought he killed it. I think everybody killed in this film. Avery Brooks, who many people know as Cisco from DS9. Who, I'm not a Star Trek guy, but I have watched DS9. And I thought he was great in this. He has some really cold lines. I'm just like, bruh. And I'm gonna get to it probably in the second part. Um, but so Danny informs Derek that there are some guys breaking in his truck. Derek goes downstairs. There's one guy chilling in front of his house, kind of like basically being a lookout. Derek shoots him, which is justified. Guy's breaking in his house. That guy had a gun. You could see he was on his strap, and I'm very pro like self defense and that shit. Sorry, but then Derek shoots at a car. Car drives away. Shoots at the one guy running away. Who the context is? Oh my fucking god! Sorry about the blade. So these guys, they played basketball with Derek. I'm just gonna get to this part because I think this is the only kind of weak part of the movie, where one of the flashbacks is the main point is a lot of the story with Derek is it's in black and white, like a lot of his past stuff. And they were playing basketball, like basically for the ownership of the courts. Derek um, jumps in and basically makes a deal with one of the guys, if which is one of the guys he's gonna do the infamous curb stomp to. Um, Makes a deal with them, basically saying if you play, if our team wins, you guys got to leave the court for good. So we get this like elaborate court scene, which I'll admit was shot well. I love the slow mo in certain parts. Derek's team wins, and those are the guys who are breaking in his car earlier. So it kind of gives you. It's later in the film, but I'm just gonna kind of get that part out of the way. So Derek's team wins, and now I'm just gonna jump back to where it was. So Derek shoots the guy in the leg, and then he walks back, and then jump to the actual opening of the film. Which, hold on a second. Sorry about that. Um, but so we jump to the actual beginning of the film. We have Mr. Sweeney, played by Avery Brooks, talking about getting informed by Mr. Murray, who we see later on in the dinner scene, talk about like Danny, who wrote a report on Mein Kampf, and this was actually a really good opening, just between the two, because Murray had obviously past dealings with Danny, and I also really, and that was brought up, and a really good point Sweeney brings up, and my God, it's probably one of my favorite lines of the film. He's like basically saying, "I'm not giving up on this kid," because obviously we get the context later why he doesn't want to give up on both Derek and Danny, which I will get to later. So I really like that he's like, "I'm not giving up on this kid." Just gives me like vibes of if you remember the movie Lean on Me, Mr. Morgan Freeman's character. I haven't watched that movie in a while. But yeah, Morgan Freeman's character. And obviously not as ruthless, but has that like, I'm not going to give up on you. I'm going to be on you, type of deal. So Murray walks out, brings in Danny, and basically, talks about him, about his brother. And also brings up about obviously fucking up, bringing up the Mein Kampf book report, and Danny's argument was, well, he said we can do a book report on anything. So he orders Danny to, and he throws that report away and basically orders him to do another report, which is going to be about his brother. And I really, when I rewatched this film, I forgot about that aspect of the film. The whole, you have to do a book report about your brother, Derek, and it's really good, and it just the banter between the two. Because even though his views on certain things, it's just, I just love this film. So, and I normally don't review movies like this. Even though I did a million retakes on this, I mentioned that I normally don't review movies that are super dramatic. I stick to like action, horror, sci-fi, superhero stuff occasionally. You know, I'm more into like franchise stuff, but this is a movie like every film person. If you love film, you need to fucking watch this movie and actually get what this movie is conveying, and not just because I think both there are two sides that use this to their biases, and obviously there are random neo Nazis out there that might use this movie to justify their views. But I think there's another side that uses film as, oh, it's only about white people bad, which it's not. So after Sweeney orders Derek to do this report, you have this scene of these black guys. One of them, I remember watching this with my friend. He was really pointing out, like, oh, I remember this kid from somewhere. It's the kid who played Little Chris in Friday. I didn't even remember that. And they were beating up on this white kid, calling him white boy, because I guess the kid snitched on them or whatever. Which I hate the whole concept of snitching. But anyway, um, Danny comes out and basically steps up for the kid, blows smoke in one of the kid's faces, and it's a seemingly harmless act later, but it's one of the most vital points of this movie, which I'll get to. But it's one of the most vital points of this movie because it leads to a big thing that happens later on. So, and then they walk out talking shit, and like I said, I don't like the whole white boy term just because maybe I've had enough white friends. I'm just like, I don't like that shit because you couldn't say black boy and it'd be okay. I just think in general, it's just not none of that shit should be okay. So Danny stands up for the kid, and you get like this narration from Danny, like kind of talking about the formation of the disciples of Christ, which were these white kids who it was basically a skinhead group, but the initial point, or at least was marketed as, was these white kids who stand up for themselves because they're getting shit on by the minorities. Which it's such a like I said, this movie is very fucking layered because it does address that shit like on the other side. And it just in general, this was when movies could look at both sides, not objectively, but just they treat the audience with not like dumbasses, so they let you look at both perspectives. Because nowadays, everything's one sided. So Danny gives like this whole thing, like his whole narration. I don't love Danny's little narrations of this movie, which really are the report. So then there's a scene where the black kid who he's Blue Smoke to recognizes him. He walks off and he goes home, sees Derek, who has long hair, not long hair, but he has hair now, and you notice little changes, like when Danny tries to show him his tattoo, you can see Derek's face, like he disapproves. He's having a conversation with Sweeney behind the scenes, because he's telling him about, because obviously we know what happens later on, but Sweeney tells Derek about the report, and basically Derek tells Danny, like, no, you gotta stay on your, basically tell him, basically focus on school, don't bring this shit into school. And you have this Seth character played by Ethan Suplee, who a lot of people may know from like Remember the Titans. I think Mallrats he was in Mallrats also. Um, I thought he was funny, even though he had fucked up views, but some of his lines are pretty funny. So he shows up, and Derek, you could clearly tell there's something changed about him. Edward Norton's performance in this is so fucking cold, man. It's but anyway. So he tries to tell Danny, don't go to this party that Cameron is throwing. Cameron is this guy that after another vital scene, you have Sweeney go to the police and they inform him about Derek's release, which I'm going to talk about the big infamous scene soon, which, hold on, let me check something. Yeah. Just checking the minutes I'm at. But, the police show him this video of Derek after his father was murdered, because his father was a policeman. Who I'll get to his father later, because his father is like a big part of his whole story. Besides the story I'm going to tell you, his father was murdered in a like in I think it was like in one of the hoods, because he's putting a fire out, and I guess he was in the wrong side of town, and this is supposed to be like that little like this movie is almost like if you remember Falling Down with Michael Douglas. It's a little bit like that, but it's also about redemption. He just has like a redemption storyline thrown in there, but it does have that falling down bit. Like I'm not obviously Derek Caesar fucked up, but it it's one of those movies. It explains how he got here because Ed Norton explained when he's writing the movie or helped writing the movie, he was talking about like he didn't want to make like them and the writers didn't want to just make Derek this generic racist monster, and I think that's what we need like at times. I think when you just make somebody a generic monster, which that could work if this was like an action movie. If this was like something like Die Hard, like I mentioned in that, have your generic bad guys in that. But this isn't that. This is supposed to be like a dramatic film. When you just have generic bad guy, it just doesn't work. And that's why I fucking love this film. And this film could not be made today. So yeah, Cameron. So his father got murdered, and he goes on this racist tirade. You know, as fucked up as some of the shit he says, it's just like God, Edward, you delivered that with just ugh, such a good actor. Because I'm gonna mention, I love a lot of his movies. Primal Fear. The score. I love the Incredible Hulk. Even I'm one. I think I kind of wish he stayed Hulk, but then there's a part of me that wish he didn't. Because now, after what I see, what happened with the Hulk, that's just a side point. But now back to this movie. Because this reporter asks him, like, what do you think what happened to your father? And then it was like, why do you think it was racial? And then he goes on this racist tirade. And even then, Sweeney's still trying to help him. That just shows you how good of a character he is. So after that, Derek basically is trying to prevent him from going to his former mentor Cameron, played by Stacy Keach, who I thought did a really good job at playing this manipulative asshole. And he tries to he's basically what got Derek to that final point of being like all out in his views. And Derek tries to stop Danny from going to his party, who he's throwing. So Danny goes to his room, starts writing the report, and he brings up this is one of the big black and white scenes where he informs that Derek took over and really quickly how not powerful, but like how abrasive he became. And he had some really good points because like this scene he was talking about like problems of illegal immigration, which there are problems with illegal immigration. You can say that and not be a racist. You can say that and not hate. And I think the other problem is we get this fucked up where it's only like from Mexicans. I think all around illegal immigration's fucked up. And he's bringing up the problems with it and obviously rallying a lot of these white dudes, but then they fuck up and do something stupid and trash a store. And this scene was gut-wrenching, man. It was just fucked up. They go in there, they beat up the owner, they jump a few of the workers, sorry, you're hearing somebody on the other side. But, fucking, sorry about that, guys. But anyway, fucking, this scene is really fucked up because these two guys grab this woman and then they just like start pouring shit on her, like insulting her, and then everyone's trashing the store, and it's like that's the thing with Derek, and not just Derek, but like even his dad. Like there were some points in this I'm like, you kind of make some points, even I say at times, but it's like you fucking push it too far. And like I said, his performance was so good because it made me feel a bunch of emotions. And I think that's what an actor should do. It should make you feel like a bunch of emotions. It should make you feel like, oh shit, this shit's really happening almost. So, there are some things I'm like, God damn it, you made a good point, and then it like fuck up and destroy the store. So we get that scene, and then we get this really good dinner scene. Sorry if you're hearing that on the other side. But you get this really good dinner scene where Murray, who I was mentioning earlier, had some past with Danny because he actually dated his mom, Doris, played by Beverly D'Angelo. I thought she did a really good job. And this whole scene just all around was great. Because this was set around the Rodney King riots. And like I said, Murray made a point like, oh, most of the businesses that were burned down were black. And Danny made a point like, it's stupid, burning your own neighborhoods down, which is true. I've made that point. Burning your own neighborhoods down, no matter the color, is fucking retarded. It makes no sense. All for just one political issue. And this whole dinner scene was so well acted by, obviously by Edward Norton. He just kept ramping it up. I thought Fairuza Balk as Stacy was really good in this because she was clearly, egging him on. The actor who played Murray did really good. His sister jumps in about, racial injustice in the prison system, which I think there's problems with the prison system. I don't think it's inherently racist, but I think there's definitely problems with it. But you get this really good back and forth, and just it ramps up. But then Murray brings up, obviously Jews, and then it goes off the rails after this. I think his sister, because his sister gets into it with Stacy, and then Derek gets mad, and then Derek grabs his sister, and the scene where he forces food down her mouth is really sad to watch. Just in it, because it's just the escalation, because even his mom tries to jump in like, oh, can we stop talking about this Rodney King shit? And it just escalates, and hold on, let me see where I'm at. Okay. But, so it escalates, and I think his sister walks off, and his mom tries to comfort her. And then Derek argues with Murray and basically tells Murray, I'm not letting a Jew get with my mom, basically. And he get just really fucked up. And just Murray walks out, and then his mom is trying to basically, you have Derek basically bringing up, oh, you were with Dad, and now you're with this guy, and, basically implying you're with a Jew now, so what the fuck? And then his mom basically says, I'm embarrassed to basically be your mom. And it's just a fucked up scene. Just, that whole dinner scene was just acted so fucking well. And I gotta clap for it. Obviously, I don't like a lot of the ideas spewed there, but that's not the point. Just the acting all around, man. Just, everybody served their purpose. And that's when a movie is truly good, is when everyone serves their purpose. So the mom walks outside, tries to comfort Murray, and Murray, clearly at this point is like, your son's gone. And, she's like, oh, he just doesn't have his dad, but... And then he drives off, and then you get this really good I keep saying choreography, because I said that in the last video. I meant cinematography, where she walks back in the house, you get this really shot of this, her walking up the curb, because that's a big part of this movie. So, she walks back in and basically kicks Derek out of the house. Then we get back to kind of present day really quick, because when you're in present, it's when it's in color. So Danny plays with his little sister, and then he gets another narration. What if I didn't tell Derek about that incident? And then the incident happens, and we get probably the most infamous violent scene in a film that I think just it's fucked up, but man, it's still great in the sense of the acting and the performances. So I'm just gonna kind of cut from where the film initially cuts from Edward Norton walking back to the guy who got shot in the leg, who was who broke in Derek's truck, who was the guy from the basketball court. Says some racial slurs to him, which is fucked up. And the scene where he makes him bite the curb. Oh my god. When I rewatch this sound of the teeth hitting the fucking concrete, I'm just like, You know, like I said, I under the first kill, first shot was justified when he shot that one dude. But this is escalating it, obviously, and he just used it as an excuse. But man, you know, you have Danny watching, trying to tell him, like, no, don't do it, Derek, don't do it, and then fucking Derek says good night, and then bam, that curb stomp, man. Oh my fucking god, the sound, and I think that's the thing. Like, and I'm a gore hound and all, but man, no, and then it just fuck, man. And then the fact that Danny watched it all, like, just watched it. And then the cops show up, and then the acting from Ed Norton, man. Didn't have to say shit. The cops, like, telling him to put his hands up, and he's just fucking doing it, but his face he's making to Danny, like, he's initially proud of it. But then, you know, it sets in when he gets handcuffed, and just that, oh my god. Ed Norton. Because the thing I found out about this movie, he turned down Saving Private Ryan for this film. And I'm like, dude, that was a good call, man. That scene, as fucked up as it is, that's fucking acting, man. That is acting to the core. That's what made me say, you know what, dude, this is my favorite performance in a film. He didn't have to say anything. And he just had to make a face. And then when, you know, his expression changes when he gets handcuffed. So, hold on really quick. I'm going to see where I'm at. But, so yeah, I said I'm going to end it here. So, but yeah, this scene is as fucked up as it is with the curb stomp. The cinematography, the music, the little details, like the cop covering the swastika from his brother, and dude, the acting from Danny. I know I've been talking about Derek the whole time from, you know, Edward Norton, but Edward Furlong, man, that face he makes when that happens, like, it's believable. It's almost like he actually watched that fucking happen. That's when you know acting is good, and man, so I just gotta say that. But this is where I'm gonna end the video here for part 1. There will be a part 2 where I continue and basically just finish off the film. But yeah, I'm gonna cheers and then end the video. But other than that, I'll see y'all in part 2. Peace.